This is not how it comes in the box. G'day everyone, bit of a different video this time, a model built by somebody else. And what a spectacular piece it is. It's a one-off custom cutaway using Tamiya's 1991 Lotus 102B. A decent 120 scale kit of a, let's be honest, pretty unremarkable race car. Having seen the piece on show at this year's Australian Model Expo, I caught up with the builder, Geoff Austen from Melbourne, and he showed me how he built it. So grab a coffee or a beer and let's find out. What was the inspiration of why you did it? It wasn't one of those Tony Matthews cutaway drawings, was it?
No, actually, I like the detail of stuff. And I love doing Formula One cars, and there's a lot of detail to be seen in Formula One cars. I ended up having two of the same kit, and I wasn't going to build the same car again, so I thought, what will I do with the second one? And I thought about doing a cutaway so that I could see some of the extra detail that I'd want to put in it. And then when I looked at the box top is actually drawn in a bit of a cutaway way as well. And so it was like, okay, well, I know it can look like that. So I sat there and thought about it for a few months about what to do and how to do it, and then started cutting. The idea was that one side would be totally as if it was a car on a track, and the other side being able to see as much detail as possible. And the ethos being that whoever's looking at the model, I wanted them to be able to see the detail without having to handle the car to take the cowling off or anything like that. So yeah, there was quite a lot of planning to do, especially around the front suspension. But once you start cutting, that's it. You can't go back.
Can't go back.
So you got all the mounting points in here, which I had to cut out, which makes it quite hard. I hadn't thought about that when I first started doing it. And then when I started cutting it, I'm cutting through the mounting points and I'm thinking, oh no.
And what did you use to cut it?
I literally just used a blade. I just scribed along the lines. The only serrated blade I'd used was to cut the wheels and tyres. The rest of it I did with just a regular hobby knife. You can see in some of the pictures where I planned out what I was going to cut and sort of had a good think about it before I cut it. That it was going to show as much detail as I wanted to do.
Because you've also got the issue of the structure of the front pickups to hold the wheelie.
Yeah, exactly right. The original kit, a lot of the front suspension arms and everything actually attaches within the body. There's mounting points within the body. So as soon as you start cutting that away and you want to show it as a complete car sort of thing, you have to lose those mounting points. And so you have to start to literally cut apart the parts and re-engineer them as if you're building it onto a real car. The front bulkhead, I had to make the suspension mounts there. The lower arm suspension mounts, the steering rack, all had to be sort of dismantled from what the kit would be and then rebuild to make sense. So there was a lot of extra brackets and things to be made, and then trial and error too, that like you start making it and then you test fit it and find out actually the piece that I made it's not the right size, so I've got to take it apart and make it again. So the front suspension actually, that's about, I think it was the third attempt before it actually came out right.
And now the brakes, the kit does include brakes, but not these ones.
Yeah, everything is kit standard on the other side. So the original brakes are in the other side of the car. Because you can see them through the wheel, they're good enough. But then when you expose them, they're not really as detailed as other brakes can be. So the brake calipers and discs from this kit that you can see actually came from the Williams. There's that FW whatever model it is.
Yeah.
The blue and white BMW powered Williams. So I had leftover brake parts from a previously destroyed model, and they go in there brilliantly.
Walk us through from the front to the rear of all of the additional parts that you've put in.
So from the front, the first thing that you come across are the brake cylinders, which were rather crudely made out of some plastic tube stock. And then I added a couple of little leftover fittings from Top Studio detail stuff that I had. If you took them out and had a good look, they're not really well done. They could be a lot better. But for the visual effect of what you can see with the naked eye, it's good enough. The next part that was fabricated was the bulkhead there. And that goes right down to the suspension arm mounting across here as well. Made everything from scratch. to mount the original suspension arms to. A lot of trial and error getting the right shape, because once you've cut away the body, it was a bit of a challenge. And then from the bulkhead, on the other side, I had to make brake pedals. I've used some photo etch brake pedals mounted on some plastic rod, just scratch built the pedal assembly. Attached a few tubes for brake lines and threaded them through. When I was threading through the brake lines, you can't really see it too well, but it does go inside what's left of the body here. The brake lines feed through and go alongside the seat and through to the rest at the back. They actually stop inside here, and then fake ones pick up again and become brake lines for the back.
The brake lines go all the way out to the calipers.
Well,
on the suspension arms.
On the suspension arms, yes, they go through. So then at the front here, particularly the lower suspension on the original kit, that's just all one piece, goes from one arm through to the other arm. And I had to cut that apart and create, there's some very fine little suspension mounts that are right in there. They were a lot of trial and error. That was plastic card that was layered. So there's about 5 layers. And then I just sanded it out to create the shape of what I needed. Steering rack. Steering wheels can actually still turn, which is something that I wanted to be able to do right from the start. To do that and mount it inside the new steering rack, I had to cut steering arms, come as one piece in the original kit, cut that off, re-glue it inside the tube, and then build the rest of the steering rack off it. Because I've taken away all of these mounting points for the suspension, when you start reconfiguring it, you have to then think about, if the wheels are going to move, how does that affect all of the configuration of all the mounting of everything? Takes a bit of getting your head around, but it's worth it in the end. From there, I added a piece of brass tube steering column. Scratch built the fire extinguisher just out of some round tube, sanded off into shape. Again, lines that attach from the fire extinguisher go through beside the seat. Can't really see it too well, but I've added wires from the dashboard, which again feed through around the bulkhead there and go down beside the seat. That's the sort of thing that it's there if you look for it, but at a glance you can't really see it anyway. I've added the seatbelt coming through the seat and mounting to the floor down there. It's only on this side because on the other side you can't see it at all. The body's fixed, it's never going to come off, so there's no point making it there. The next thing I made was the fuel tank. Keeping in mind that you can only see this portion of the fuel tank, when I made it, I wanted it to be able to fit into the space as it should do. So I've modeled it roughly on a few different types of fuel cells that are out there. Interestingly, only this side is accurate enough to be displayed. The other side is completely out of shape. Again, you can't see it, so it doesn't matter. The detail ring comes off a detail set for Sauber C9. The disc is just a photo etch. I've got a set of photo etch discs that are just aftermarket things. And the actual fill and nozzle is actually a 1/35 scale tank wheel from a Dragon kit. Moving back, all of these lines into the electronics, they were all added in. Hose connectors and things were just Top Studio detail parts left over from other builds. Connectors here are actually molded on the original kit. They're molded into the rocker cover, which looks a bit clumsy. And when you're zooming in on it on a camera, it still looks pretty clumsy. But to the naked eye, it's a better finish of detail just having individual connections and things there. The original Tamiya kit doesn't have these radiator lines, so I've made that out of soldering wire. Radiator cover, the black part and the silver straps, they're not in the original kit, so that's just a piece of plastic card, and the silver tie-down straps are just bare metal foil tie-down straps. Interestingly, in most Formula 1 cars, that's a cable. On the Lotus, it's very definitely a flat piece of steel, I assume, so that was easy to replicate. Where these lines attach into the gearbox and oil reservoirs, I've put in connectors in there. The original kit has molded in detail around the top of the suspension arms here and suspension mounting points. I removed that detail off the original part because it just looked big and bulky. So I took it off and then scratch built bits to go onto there. And then of course you got the wheels. Those brake calipers come off. Like I said, the a later model Williams kit, and then adapting that with the disc off the same kit as well to replace the original disc and caliper out of this kit. Interestingly, the original wheel nut, which is typical Tamiya, comes in with a screw or a threaded nut on there. I took that off. That wheel nut is off the other Williams kit as well. Shows more detail. You've got a release pin inside the nut and more detail around the nut as well. The wheels and tyres are a challenge because when I cut them open, the standard wheel of the Tamiya kit actually has a shape where it's, for want of a better term, convex. And I wanted it to be more realistic as to what a wheel should be. So I had to cut and reshape the wheel profile itself in there. And then the tyres on this particular kit, on most Tamiya kits, they're a hollow tyre, but on this kit, they're a solid tyre. So I had to cut out a lot of the tyre material to show a hollow tyre. So the cutout area and the reshaped area is only down through probably about 5 or 10 mil at the most through the wheel. The rest of the wheel is as per what the kit is. But then when it comes up the other side again, do the first few mil. That was a learning experience in itself, how to cut tyres and make it look okay. Very difficult.
What time frame? Because obviously a lot of research, but the actual build time.
The actual build time, I think, only took me about 3 months. I say only. To me, that's sort of quicker than what I expected. I think because I was only building half of the detail, once I got my head around what I was doing, it went together pretty quick. And it is actually really relieving when you're doing extra detail stuff like putting on carbon fiber decals and stuff. You're only doing one side, and you're only doing what you can see. And once you get stuck into that mindset of only do what you can see, the rest of it becomes easy.
Geoff doesn't use an airbrush. He painted this Lotus with Tamiya rattle cans. He's got a bunch of other great builds also painted with rattle cans, including this prize-winning Ayrton Senna McLaren. But that's for another video. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, go take a look at my video from Model Expo where this Lotus and hundreds of other models were on display. Cheers.